Yeah.
So.
It's good to be able to see both sides, you know, to know both sides going in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all, we're coming back from break, standing by. And in 3, 2.
Oh, welcome back, everybody. We have Dr. Nicole Cross. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist from Houston, and she's joining us right now. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Well, we're talking about teenagers and some of the challenges that they have that maybe are new to the game. Challenges such as drug abuse, pornography, things on the internet, just things that they're exposed to. Is it a different world that we live in, or is that just the perception for parents these days?
It's absolutely a different world with the advances in technology, with social media. I mean, our children are just exposed to so much more, and they have access to so many things. And the issue is that we don't have the filters in place. You can't keep up with technology and all the developments that have taken place. So we don't have the filters or the barriers to be able to police it, you know, like maybe we can in some other activities.
Should we even try to filter out all of that? I would guess it's almost impossible.
It is, but I think effort is always beneficial. And I think, you know, there's no substitute for a parent. And I think that a parent has to be active and engaged in everything. So it's not like a lost cause. I'll just kind of throw my kid out there. I still think that we should actively educate our children and try to be that first line of knowledge for them so that if they are exposed with something, at least they're like, okay, my mom told me about this.
At what point should a parent decide to bring a child along to actually have a conversation with a therapist?
I think when you are at a point, and we have 3 criteria. If it's been going on for 3 months or more, and it may be something crisis where you have to bring them in more immediately, but if you see an issue that's becoming chronic, it has been occurring for months, if you see that the frequency is intensifying, it's becoming more of the norm than the exception, and if you see that it's impacting their life to the extent that they are making really poor choices to either have this in their life or to avoid other things, it is time to take action.
A lot of parents might chalk it up to just the adolescence, the formative years where teenagers are still trying to find themselves. Is that wishful thinking, or should they be taking it more seriously?
Well, I'm always a fan on erring on the side of caution. So if for nothing else but just to rule it out, I would definitely investigate and let a third party say, no, this is normal, or no, I'm really glad you brought your child in. It's just good to have that peace of mind. You know, as parents, we like to be able to go to sleep at night with a peace of mind.
Now, you know, parents obviously have discussions about how to handle these things. Bringing them to a therapist might be one of them, but what happens when parents disagree?
You know, that's a very good question. It's very common. People have varying opinions about counseling, the profession of counseling, whether it's legitimate, whether it is faith-based. So they may have their own biases about this notion of counseling. I think it's important that parents discuss their point of view in private, discuss their point of view, and list pros and cons. And at the end of the day, what harm would it do? Like with any other professional, you have to vet them. You have to find the dentist that works for your family. You have to find the mechanic, you know, that's best suited for your vehicle. So you would have to do the same thing. You would have to do your diligence in looking for a therapist that is appropriate and is a good match for your family. But if you do make that sort of connection, someone that your teenager can open up to you, it would be so beneficial for your family.
Let's say we find the right person. Getting a teenager to open up to any adult is always a challenge, isn't that true?
It is a challenge, but it is not impossible. I think teenagers are like anyone else. They want to feel cared for. They don't want to feel like a spectacle. They want to feel like you have a genuine interest and that you are aware of what's going on in their life. Now, I'll go on the record by saying you want to find the type of therapist that your child can connect with. For some, that's a male, others, that's a female. For some, that's someone just a few years older than them. For others, they like an authority figure that's much older. You have to, use the knowledge that you have about your child and try to find the best fit. But then you want to encourage your child to be open to all types of new experiences, including therapy. This is a wonderful life skill going forward. As adults, we've had to venture into new directions all the time, and we have to be open to try something new.
Let's go back to the parents on their end. Sometimes these crises, as you call them, can really cause a rift in the marriage. Do you suggest that parents also not just bring the child, but also maybe the spouse along as well?
You know, I'll let you in on a secret. Many times when I work with teenagers and everyone is saying what's wrong with them, what's the issue with them, many cases I can trace it back to the parents in terms of what's going on with the parents. In a lot of cases, children are simply a mirror for what's going on in the larger system of the household. So it is important to take an honest inventory in your marriage, to look at what are the issues at the adult level and to take steps to resolve them so that you can reach agreement. When I work with couples, my goal is to help them find some sort of agreement. You can disagree without becoming disagreeable. You can agree to disagree, but you want to find a way to agree on the issue, and you want to remember that the ultimate goal is to help your children. It's not to be right, it's to help your children.
Are you able to actually help? I think a lot of people, they want easy solutions. Mm-hmm. How does therapy help?
I'll let you know how therapy helps. It is an opportunity for you to have a space where you are talking with someone who is not judging you. That is rare in our world. To talk with someone who doesn't have a vested interest in your yay or your nay. They are just listening to you and applying skills that they have learned and really just trying to come up with the best strategy for your life. So that's a gift, I would say, to have someone who's non-judgmental, whose primary goal in that hour is you, and to help you live the best year possible. And most clients report feeling a sense of relief, a gratitude, an awareness, an insight that they didn't think about it that way. And sometimes that can be very powerful.
Is it ever too late to have that type of intervention, would you say, for an adolescent?
You know, I'm a consummate optimist, and I do not believe that it is too late. I always tell my clients, do not suffer in silence. So if you see that there is an issue occurring in your life, you have tried and you have not been able to resolve it, there's nothing more empowering than taking action steps for it.
All right. Well, Doctor, great advice. Dr. Nicole Cross, before you go, how can people reach out to you?
Sure, you can visit my webpage at drnicolecross.com.
All right, thank you. We'll be back right after this.
Good for you.
As we know.
All right, Jim, stand by. Whenever you're ready.
Well, we've been talking about this news where this child, if you will, a teenager, actually went in and killed his father, the senator. What would lead someone to do that? Well, joining us right now from Houston is Dr. Nicole Cross. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist. And Dr. Cross, shocking headlines.
It is absolutely shocking and very unfortunate for the family. In many instances, is that if a teenager and a parent, if they are in conflict and there is a level of impulsivity, sometimes we react without thinking about consequences, and that could have been the case.
But come on, I mean, today these kids are living in a world that's so different. Video games are violent. I mean, a kid who grabs a gun to do something like this, I mean, can we point the finger at one thing in society today that would have led to this?
You know, I understand it would be easier to point the finger in one direction, but in reality, things are more complicated than that. I'm told that there is a history of mental illness with this teenager as well. So I do understand that there would need to be quite a bit of investigation so that we can piece this together so that other families can benefit.
Isn't it easy just to say the kid had mental illness? I mean, isn't this maybe just a behavioral issue?
You know, it could be, and I think that's why it's still under investigation. And I'll be curious to know if this is purely behavior, retaliation, or if there's something deeper.
Before you go, are you ever surprised at these types of headlines?
The truth is, in the line of work that I do, I often say nothing surprises me. What's most important is that we learn from it.
Well, I said I'd let you go, but I mean, should we be afraid of teenagers these days?
I think we can't do anything in a vacuum. I think we have to look at the details. We have to piece together, you know, what led up to this event, and then we have to make sure that other families are equally as vigilant in protecting each other.
All right, Dr. Cross, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right, Jimmy.
Okay, you ready? All right, hey Doc, thanks for doing this for me because, man, we're on a really tight deadline. We talked to some people who are dating online and some of the pitfalls and dangers that might come with that because they're dating strangers. But, I mean, seriously, is it okay for people to go out and find their loved one online? And maybe we can talk about on that.
Well, there's a lot of research that shows that a number of couples have met through online services. So I think, like with any dating situation, you're going to have your hits and your misses.
I mean, is it a good idea, though, to meet a stranger that way?
You know, it depends on the person. And I'm always one that says, think about how you met a person, but where do you go from there? You know, you may meet them online, but you still have to be smart about it. You have to be smart about whether they come to your house and, you know, when do you see them, how much do you share, when do you share it?
What are some things that people should look for when they're on that first date? Do you have any advice?
I think when you're on that first date, you should be in a public place. I think, you know, you're still getting to know this person. You need to see their driver's license. I'm serious about that. Just to make sure they are who they say that they are. You need to arrive in separate cars. You know, you need to just use your wisdom in that situation and make it very casual, not too heavy. You know, you don't have to talk about finances and, you know, long-term marriages and things like that. Just get to know them.
Just keep the conversation light, or should we be probing?
Honestly, in that first conversation, for me, I think you should keep it light. The truth is, we size a person up in seconds. So you already know in 3 to 5 seconds if you're interested. Now you're just getting to know them a little bit more to see how far you want to go.
All right, advice on how to blow them off.
Okay, let's keep it simple. You know, I mean, people have said, I'm just not that into you. I would just simply say, it was great to meet you.
And leave it at that?
And leave it at that.
And hope they're not crazy. What about if you, do you know people? Have you ever met people who've been successful just because they had an online relationship and have been able to progress?
Honestly, I have. You know, there are a number of working professionals who just don't have the time, you know, to get out to the gym and all these other places they tell you to meet guys. And they start with a friendship online. They get to know each other, you know, sort of mentally, cognitively first, and don't let the physical kind of distract right off the bat. And there are a number of people who have had success.
Cool. I might give it a try, even though
Okay.
I'm married. No, I'm kidding. All right, thanks. Good job.